So in 2016, after all my delegate duties were done for Bernie, and I got home from California, the first thing I did was Demexit. I just wanted nothing to do with the Democratic Party anymore because I was so disgusted and disappointed and frustrated and angered and like just a whole cornucopia of feelings. Um, just kind of came over me, and I mean, it's one thing to hear like the stories of the corruption and the cheating, but to see it like in person, like in action, just was I mean, just it was mind-boggling to me. I even experienced some level of cognitive dissonance because I thought, okay, well, the Democrats are not the good guys, but they're not, you know, they got to be better than the Republicans. And, that's kind of a deep belief I used to have. And it was just kind of like, no. So when it comes to like elections, it just, they can be just as dirty and nasty and corrupt and cheating as like everyone else. So I just was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't want anything to do with this. So I dem exited. I mean, although Bernie was like pleading with people to stay in the party and to reform it and to bring in more people so that the Democrats would be forced to like, change. And, you know, as much as I love Bernie, that was one area where I was like, okay, that's where I don't agree with you. I don't believe the party can be changed because it is what it is. And, we can't create something with the same level of consciousness that created the problems in the first place. So I was not interested in that. And then I figured also, 42% of the electorate is independent anyway. We are just outright rejecting the two-party system. So why not focus more energy on how to get more independents involved in the political process? Because Bernie himself is an independent. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm actually doing what you're doing, Bernie. I'm being an independent. And so, and then I decided, I wasn't going to run for office, and I had no interest in that, and I had no interest in helping, work on campaigns. I wanted to focus on issues. So, like, my issues for me were climate change, Medicare for all, and the factory farm system. So I was like, okay, how do we focus on issues and get more people involved that way? So, and I believe that the two-party system, we don't have a two-party system. We have a one-party system with two wings that feed into the same boss, the donor class, right? The corporatocracy. And so they do their bidding at the expense of we the people, animals, and planet. But then, okay, so now we fast forward to 2018, and something like major happened for me to change my mind. It was like a major actually realization. So as I mentioned, climate change is a big deal for me. So the IPCC 2018 report came out, and then soon after was the National Climate Assessment report from the Trump administration. Okay, mind you, and it like the data is startling. It's like why there's not more panic than there should be. So it panicked me. It terrified me. But the piece of information that got me the most was we have 12 years in order to stay at or below the 1.5 degrees Celsius is going to require that we slash greenhouse gas emissions by 45%. Okay? 45% in 12 years, which means the new POTUS in 2020 only has 10 years, like a decade. And I was like, that's like no time. That's like no time. I mean, the window is like has collapsed. And so it terrified me. And, and in the past 2 years when the work I've been doing with climate change, I've been noticing over and over again that the biggest roadblock has been politics. That we can do all the planning and all the educating in the world, but the real roadblock to real change is politics. So getting these policies and things done. And so we're working in this two-party system. We have, 10 years basically in 2020. And so I just started like thinking hard, like, okay, how are we going to get these policies? How are we going to get anything done on that level? And it's going to require working with the two-party system at this point. So as much as I want another party, I really want a people's party. But given what we need to do in the short time frame, we're going to have to use this current system and figure out how to do it. So the best way is to just get back into the Democratic Party. And, I don't look at it as Dem Enter, because the spirit of Dem Enter is like to come in and reform the party so it works for the people. I view this more as just Dem registration. So that way I can vote and make a difference. And also, so I can be a delegate for Bernie Sanders again. So in order to be a delegate, you have to be a registered Democrat to do that. And I full on plan on like being a delegate once again, because I'm ready for round 2. So, and then importantly, we've got to, along with electing a President Sanders, we've got to elect a progressive House and a progressive Senate, so we can get all these policies through. Because until we get the policies through, like Green New Deal is not going to happen unless we have a more progressive House, Senate, and a president all at the same time. It's like a 3-pronged thing that we got to make happen in 10 years, like 12 years, like to now. And scientists are now even recrunching some of those numbers, so we might actually have less time. So I for now am just putting aside the, like, okay, I'm being pragmatic here and looking at like, okay, well, we don't have time. Let's use the system. So, I'm encouraging all of you who are not Democrats, who did Demexit or independents, to kind of think about that, especially if climate change is a big deal for you. But also importantly, if you are a registered Democrat in the primary, it will help prevent a lot of the shenanigans that happen with people who are independent, in open primary or mixed primary states like California, where NPP voters, which are the, no party preference is the independents, there was a lot of shenanigans that went on with that. And so, but if you're a registered Democrat, like, your vote counts, it's much easier. And if you're in a closed primary state and you want to vote for Bernie Sanders, you have to be a registered Democrat. So just go register for the primary, and then wait, when Bernie wins the primary and he's in the general, then you can vote for him in the general. And then, if you want to Dem exit, you can. But for now, for all practical purposes, I just recommend people to think about it as Dem registration. You're a Democrat in registration only, so that way we can get Bernie Sanders elected, and that we can get progressive Democrats elected into the House and the Senate, because we have 12 years